action step.
Change is won, it's not a given. If you will change, everything will change for you. Change is an action.
Welcome to another episode of More Than Motivation. It's Monday. Clint here with Change One. Today's topic is going to be mentors. And what we're going to talk about is why we need mentors and how we can get a mentor. So there's a couple of things that we need to understand is that in our lives, when we want to succeed at something, there's a lot of experience to be gained from people who have already gone through that. So we don't necessarily have to go through something in order to gain the experience. And a lot of times we understand this, so why don't we get mentors in our lives? And that's what we're going to go over today. And how do we get those mentors? So one of the things is that a lot of people say, well, no one's going to mentor me, or I don't know who to ask, or all these excuses. And as you know, I'm not big on excuses. I'm big on results and getting things done and taking action. So today we're going to get some simple action steps on how you can start to get that mentorship. So one of the things is that as I first mentored someone, it kind of just happened. Look, you're not going to go to somebody and ask them, hey, will you mentor me? It's almost an awkward conversation. And some people like me would actually not feel uncomfortable in that conversation. But if you go to someone who hasn't actually consciously mentored someone before, it might be an awkward conversation. I used to mentor people many times in my life. I've done that. But I never consciously realized that that was mentoring. And then recently I mentored a young man who I consciously realized that it was mentoring. And, it was greatly rewarding for me, and it changed me, I think, as much as it changed him. And, since that, I've been entering into more mentorship type relationships because they're rewarding. So when you approach somebody who hasn't mentored someone before, you're going to have a little bit different approach. So let's go over that right now. One of the things that I always tell people is this, and just internalize this with yourself right now. Think about your best friend, or think about your parent, and think about what they do for work, and how much do you really know about it? Now, some of us maybe share a profession in common with our best friend or our parent, but for most of us, most of our friends and our parents and our siblings and whatever it is, don't have the same profession as we do. So we're not very interested in what they do. I mean, we talk to them about it, but we're not really interested. Look, if you don't know much about cars, you're not really interested in what your mechanic does. If you're not into real estate, you're not really interested in what your brother-in-law, the real estate agent, or the house flipper does. But if you're in the same field, you are. So most of the time, we're not in the same career field. So we don't really care what somebody else does. Think about this. If you took 4 people in a conversation, you're one of those people, the chances are that you don't care at all what those other 3 people do. And they don't care what you do. Everybody's concerned with themselves. So look, realize this. Nobody gives a crap what you do for a career. Nobody gives a crap what I do. And most people don't care what anybody else does. We only care what we do. And when you realize that, a little light bulb should go on in your head. For me, it was a big light bulb. So hopefully you get this concept. When you want to get a mentor, it's really simple. Understand that most people don't care what that person does for a career. So all you have to do is what you should be doing anyways, is caring about what that person does. See, you won't be the norm. When you say, I'm interested in what you do, tell me about it, and that person sees that you have a genuine interest, they'll talk on and on and on. Just let them talk. So what you have to do is you get them talking about what they're interested in, what you want to learn about, then you shut up and you let them talk, and that's how you learn. A lot of people say that I don't listen good. I think it's kind of funny because when I listen to somebody who has something to teach me, a skill set that I want to learn, they always, without fail, tell me how fast of a learner I am. So what's interesting is this. When you are speaking to someone that you're looking at mentoring you, you have to choose that person. There's a lot of people who want to mentor somebody, they don't have the abilities and they don't have the knowledge. And it's not worth your time listening to them. Get away from them, and that's what I do. I get away from them. When someone's trying to teach me something that they don't understand themselves or haven't succeeded at, they can't teach me much. So I move on to the person who can. Then I soak it all in. Identify the person you're interested in, engage them in a conversation, and then shut up and listen and soak it in. At the end of that conversation, when they've talked themselves out where they have to go, and you'll find it could be hours. If you do it right, and you are genuinely interested in what they do, and you genuinely shut up and let them talk, they will teach you for hours. And when they get done, all you do is you say, hey, do you mind if I call you in the future if I have any more questions? And you know what they're going to say? Sure, here's my number. I would love to talk to you. You know why? Because you're the only person that took a real interest in what they do. And that's unique. And they want to teach. Look, do you think that someone wants to teach somebody what they spent their entire life doing? You know, I spent the last 8 years of my life in real estate and construction. Do you think I enjoy talking about it when someone's genuinely interested in listening and learning? You bet I do. And whatever it is that you do, if I was genuinely interested in listening to what you have to say about it, do you think you would like to talk about it for hours? Of course. You spent 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, depending on what you do, at that thing for the last however many years. Of course you're interested in it. That's why you do it. But how often does somebody really listen to what you do at your job? Or really, talk to you about it? It's not very often. So be that person, and you'll find your mentor. You don't have to ask them. You don't have to say, hey, will you mentor me? Just do that, and they'll mentor you. You don't even have to call it a mentor-mentee relationship. It'll just happen. That's it. That's as simple as it is to get a mentor. On that note, I think it's interesting to note this, that some of you out there are saying, hey, I don't need a mentor. I'm successful. I'm just trying to get into something new or whatever. If you feel that you're successful and you have information to share, then it goes to the next part, which is part 2. The first part is, be somebody that someone can mentor. Listen, learn, shut up, let them teach you. The second part is when you have a skill set that you can impart to others, you need to be willing to mentor others. You need to look for those opportunities. It's an obligation. It's one of the things that Change One that we stand for, is that if you have succeeded in what it is you were trying to be successful at, you didn't get there on your own. Somebody somewhere along the way, and many people often, helped you. And you might have had mentors that you didn't even consider a mentor, someone that you repeatedly called and asked questions and they kind of taught you along the way. I do this with a lot of people in real estate. They call me, ask me questions, and I kind of teach them along the way. Now, they wouldn't call it a mentor-mentee relationship, and here's why. A lot of people think, I don't need a mentor, I'm smart, I'm intelligent. They think if they have to get a mentor, they're lacking something. That's very foolish. It's very wise to get a mentor. And most people's sense of pride, they can't put their pride down to call somebody a mentor because that would somehow mean deficiency. And that's not what it means at all. What it means is that you're wise enough to recognize when someone's successful at something that you want to be successful at, and you allow them to teach you. So, don't be prideful about this. If you want to learn and you want to grow and you want to change, and you want somebody to put the time in for free to teach you, then you can't have any pride involved. None. They'll spot it very fast and they'll just move on. And so if you're somebody who's now ready to teach somebody else, of course, what type of person are you looking for? The person who wants to listen, the person who wants to learn, and you have that obligation. Again, at Change One, we stand for that. That's one of the things that you are obligated to give back. The same way that someone gave time to you and information to you. None of us were born with information and knowledge of things that we couldn't have known about. So someone helped teach you. You have to give that back to other people. And that's how you change one.
Positive change is the result of intentional action.